Hi there, welcome to iStill TV. My name is Odin and today I want to talk to you about making rum. We're going to do that in basically 4 steps. First we're going to look at what rum actually is. Then we're going to dive into molasses because most rum is made from molasses. But what is molasses and what kind of molasses should you consider buying if you want to make rum? Third thing we're going to do is look at rum making as a process. What steps comprise the rum making process? And the last bit that we're going to look into is actually how do we make rum on an iStill. It's quite innovative, different from traditional methods. It's very interesting, so stay tuned. Rum basically is a spirit made from sugarcane byproducts. And the byproducts you can use to actually make rum are molasses, cane syrup or cane juice. Since most rums are made from molasses, I want to tell you a bit more about what molasses are and what kind of molasses you need to buy in order to make outstanding rum. Molasses are a byproduct of sugar making. If you look at sugarcane, it's a plant that is pressed and boiled and then centrifuged in order to make the sugar that they extract more refined and basically more white. With every centrifugation, they get rid of certain organics, and it's those organics that we call molasses. From sugarcane, we create sugar, and we do so by extracting the organics. Brown and dark matter with a varied level of sugar content and a varied level of flavor. Basically, the first centrifugation, molasses, can be called A class. If the molasses comes from a second centrifugation, it's B class. And if it comes from a third and final centrifugation, we can actually call it C grade or feedstock. Now, which one to buy? Which one should you have in your rum? That's not an easy question to answer, but if you look at the various sorts of molasses, in general, it's the A type that's more expensive, but also has a higher sugar concentration, so you create more rum, even though it costs more to actually buy the product in. And if you work your way down, you can see that the C grade or the food stock grade molasses has less sugar, so your yield in terms of how much rum you're producing is going down. But you do find some interesting flavors over there. So what many rum distillers do is that they find a recipe by blending certain molasses. A for a lot of yield, and C for some interesting flavors. If we proceed to the actual rum making process, rum making consists of basically 2 steps. First one is fermentation, where from the molasses and the water, by adding yeast, we make a rum or a molasses wine of around 8 to 9%. And the second step, once we've made that wine, is that we want to distill that wine into a stronger spirit because rum needs to be 40% minimum. Usually the distillation cycle takes 2 steps, a first distillation and a second distillation. And after the second distillation, we have all the flavors that we want for a rum, and we can decide to either bottle it or to age it in barrels. So let's dive into making rum on an iStill. It's different and quite innovative. You remember that we use molasses to ferment a rum wine, molasses wine of 8, 9, maybe 10%, and then we do double distillation traditionally to actually fortify that wine into the rum spirit. With the iStill, things are a bit easier. We integrate everything. In the same vessel, we do the fermentation and the first and second distillation. So instead of having the need of a lot of equipment to actually do your fermentation, to do your distillation processes, everything can be done in the same machine. Saves you time, and we do it with more control. Because basically, the fermentation is where you create flavors, so it's very important that we control the temperatures, the pH, and the sugarification. And during the distillation, we harvest and concentrate those flavors, so it's very important to know what kind of flavors we end up with in the rum. This is the starting screen of the iStill. You see that you've got 7 functionalities to choose from. First one is heating and cooling. This basically allows you to warm up your wine, start your distillation process a few hours ahead of time. Then there's mashing. Mashing is for converting starches in grains to sugars. We don't need that today. Then there's fermenting, and you remember from my earlier presentation that fermenting is an essential step for rum, so we're going to dive into that. And then we can decide either to pot still run the rum wines or to use the column approach. And today we're going to use the column approach because I want to show you how the iStill can make rum in one go instead of by using double distillations. Last things you could choose is extracting, if you want to make a spiced rum, or fast aging, if you want to bring your rum to the market as soon as possible. Let's start with fermenting, the first step in the rum making process. Push a button, we select settings, we go to recipes, and we can see that we can select the rum process and basically load the program. If we go back, we see we have a 157 hours, 23 degrees rum fermentation with a 10 degrees tolerance. So basically, fermentation starts at around 23 and is allowed 10 degrees centigrade tolerance. It goes up to 33 degrees. If it tries to go above 33 degrees, automatically the cooling will get on to make sure that the fermentation doesn't run too hot. Once the fermentation is done, in our premises this usually takes around 3 days, we can immediately go back to the distillation process. We go back to the main screen, we select column distilling, we go to settings, and basically we can again go to the recipes, and in this case select the Loki Molasses rum, which is the name that I gave to our rum. Load the program, we go back, and basically once we press start, we're going to distill the rum wines that we made into an automatically cut, amazingly flavorful rum. If you allow me to explain a little bit of what you see on the screen, you can see that heating up takes place up until 45 degrees Celsius. It does so at 100% power and 40% agitator speed. Once the column reaches 45 degrees, the fours are taken until 76, after which we have a stabilization to compact heads, and the heads come over until 80.6. We then start to collect hearts, and we collect hearts all the way down to 99 degrees. So basically we're almost getting all of the alcohol out of the rum wines that we've produced before. By choosing a tolerance setting of 14 degrees, we make sure that the rum comes over at around 65% in one go. No need for a second distillation. We can barrel age right after the rum.